Good morning, everyone. Welcome. My name is Sharon Bonney. I'm the CEO for COABE. I'm here with Hector Martinez,
Welcome, everybody.
our president-elect, and we're just delighted to be here at the U.S. Chamber of Commerce to kick off National Adult Education and Family Literacy Week. We know there's a lot planned this week throughout the nation. We want to encourage you to submit what you're doing to the COABE Padlet, where we can celebrate your success and amplify as well. As you're likely aware, we also have a legislative briefing and a breakfast tomorrow on the Hill. We're very excited about that. And then we'll be involved in legislative meetings all throughout the day. So I just wanted to give a quick update on what we're doing at COABE, but then introduce you really to the person who we're very excited who's joined us here today, Nick Moore with the Office of Career, Technical, and Adult Education. He's the Acting Assistant Secretary of Adult Education. I'm going to turn it over to Nick.
Well, thanks so much, Sharon, and thanks, Hector. It's a pleasure to join y'all this morning to kick off Adult Education Family Literacy Week. Appreciate those that will be here in person with us on the Hill and in DC. And many of you I know who could not make it but wish to are joining us virtually. And so thank you for your participation, whether embodied here in DC or virtual. And it's an exciting time for the world of workforce development, adult education. There's a lot of meaningful work happening at the both local, state, and federal level. And we're excited to work with you as we begin implementing America's talent strategy, building the workforce for the golden age. And we know that if we're going to together increase our nation's labor force participation rate, our post-secondary attainment rate, and to make sure that we are helping more and more Americans reach self-sufficiency and a career pathway that's aligned to many of the both current and prospective in-demand jobs that we need to fill to continue growing our economy. Adult education and family literacy and the work that you're doing is going to continue to be a key factor in helping to reach that, or reach all of those goals rather. And so, there's lots of things that are shifting around workforce development as well. I know many folks have questions about things like budgets or the partnership between DOL and the Department of Education and OCTAE. But one thing to be clear about is that the work that you're doing is going to continue to be vitally important to our national workforce strategy. Ultimately, it's up to Congress to determine, what features of our programs will shift or continue to be the same. But this administration is committed to working with you to make sure that we're making the most out of our programs at whatever level they are funded and however they are structured. And so the work of making sure that both out of school youth, adult learners, in-school youth have access to post-secondary education, secondary equivalency, and also access to workforce training is key. And so we want to do several things through our burgeoning partnership with the Department of Labor, including working to make sure that, for example, we've got adult education represented on all of our state workforce boards, that we make sure that we're working with state workforce boards and governors to include programs for the purposes of workforce Pell that are going to marry well with what you're doing through integrated education and training, so that if somebody gets their high school equivalency and they could get access to ability to benefit, that we're making sure that governors and state boards have the primary and secondary labor market information that they need to submit to the department a list of programs that are going to meet the state, local, and regional needs of the labor shed. And so the work that you're doing is making sure that all of the programs, whether they're through a community college or whatever the delivery mechanism is linked up with the local labor shed. So you're very close to the labor market, and co-designing programs with industry is going to be a key hallmark of our workforce partnership. And so we're shifting away from the sort of train and pray or build it and they will come model that has kind of proliferated in post-secondary education in the past, and working specifically with folks that are closest to the ground. We're going to reimagine the way that we design programs with the effort of making all learning count. And so we can both live in the world of time and credit-based assertions, but also non-credit assertions, and the idea of doing more credit for prior learning and prior learning assessment, so that whatever season of life somebody enters into the workforce system, that we've got a more no wrong door approach. and that we are not, the intake and the sort of assessment process and the front door is predicated on meeting the needs of individual students, learners, and earners, and not as much around the proclivities of programs. So we're going to be providing a lot more technical assistance directly to states and governors and grantees to elevate service delivery models that help for the greatest amount of co-location, co-enrollment. And we think that's something that's really critical, is to make sure that somebody is able in one setting to get the right sort of supportive services, workforce training, and educational services they need to put them on a trajectory to reach self-sufficiency. And we know it's difficult, particularly if somebody's basic needs aren't met, to have to go from multiple service, physical locations to get the services they need. And so we're going to do that in a way that is not prescribing anything on states. Ultimately, y'all get to decide what the service delivery pattern looks like, but knowing that we've got priority of service, that we are part of the one-stop delivery system, we want to make sure that adult education grantees are getting, really what, the amount of service and outcomes from that one-stop delivery model. And so we'll do all we can do, up to including working with you to make sure that we are advising Congress on what best practices could be if we take up reauthorization of Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act, whether that's broad scale or more surgical in nature. But we know that when we co-enroll people in education workforce programs, they have a better chance of persisting and not only completing that workforce training program, but entering and persisting in paid employment. And so we're going to be working to simplify what we mean by workforce development. Know that we've now got 43 programs across 9 agencies. Ultimately, what governors and states have been demonstrating to us over the last decade is that a best practice is getting more programs under the banner of one agency so that you can reduce duplication, administrative burden. And so that's also part of what we'll be doing through our partnership with DOL, is the notion that DOL has unique capabilities in administering workforce grants. And so by allowing our, and Octave's always been known as small but mighty Octave. And so allowing our programmatic staff to spend more time on the ground with states, with grantees, providing technical assistance, doing more quarterly monitoring visits, making sure that we're able to visit each state at least once through the 4-year life of the 4-year plan is going to be very important. So you'll see and have the opportunity to interface with our Octave team more directly. We're also doing a lot of cross training within Octave so that Octave itself is not postured in a programmatic basis, but that we're more functional. So if somebody is providing technical assistance on state plans or looking at core performance indicators or doing engagement around stakeholder engagement or comprehensive local needs assessment process for Perkins, we want our staff to be nimble and efficiently trained to support both adult education, family literacy, and Perkins grantees. So that level of cross training and sort of realignment and reorganization of Octave is happening internally at the same time that we're working to better align and cross train the Workforce Investment Office at the Department of Labor. So you'll see very limited, if any, day-to-day changes based on this partnership. But what you'll see is faster, more concierge level service provided to you. If you get if you have a question, you'll be able to get one person to answer that question directly. We also want to give more direct answers. If you've got an innovation, one thing that the federal government's always been known for is not being able to give a direct answer. If you want to try a new idea out, or you've got to figure out through hook and crook how to get a waiver approved. So we're going to be giving more direct guidance about the things that are waivable provisions. You may have joined me last week when we rolled out our 2-pronged career pathway model, and many commented that, this doesn't seem like a whole lot new here. And that's the point, is honestly, there are a lot of efficiencies, opportunities to braid funds, to get flexibilities that are already on the table. And so what this two-pronged career pathway model is a heuristic or a logic model for helping us to understand how we can look at both WIOA Title I, Adult Youth Dislocated Worker Programs, Title II, Adult Education Programs, Title III with Wagner-Pizer for career exploration, Title IV for things like pre-employment and training services, other VR programs to assist both youth and adults, and then Perkins 5 and Workforce Pell. And if we look at the intersection between those programs, there's opportunities to bring all those programs to serve youth and adults in the proper format. And when we think about innovative strategies like a spectrum of work-based learning, not just registered apprenticeship, but a spectrum of work-based learning that culminates in registered apprenticeship, along with things like ability to benefit, integrated education and training, a quality and transparency regime to couple with non-degree credentials so that we can unbundle and modularize degree programs and to make all learning count in terms of discrete competency statements, so that whether it's a time or credit-based assertion or a short cycle program, that we can bundle all those programs or unbundle them so that the competencies that underlie those programs become the currency in the labor market, and that we are leveraging things like learning and employment records, skills-based job descriptions, credential registries, and the work that partners like Credential Engine are doing to allow somebody to translate, transact, and transcribe those learning assertions in a way that's portable. And so we want to help reduce benefit cliffs, help to reinvigorate economic, social, and geographic mobility. And we want folks that complete our programs to be able to become entrepreneurs, to take a chance on starting a business, on being able to take on a leadership opportunity and not let these sometimes arbitrary reductions in real dollar terms as folks are transitioning off means tested transfer payments to be a showstopper for somebody to take that next chance on their own career pathway or their sort of path to self-sufficiency. So that's more easier said than done, because we've really got to take advantage of labor market data, and we've got to make sure that our frontline caseworkers and those that are interacting with our populations are versed in not sort of unrestricted or restricted customer service, but we have informed customer choice, so that when somebody comes in, whether it's an adult education program or through the career center, through Wagner-Pizer, that they understand through their family dynamics and the level of skill that they bring to the table, what opportunity puts them on a pathway to most quickly reach self-sufficiency, and to also be able to reach their interests, aptitudes, and aspirations. And so, we're going to have to do a lot more together to make sure that we're able to, at scale, use our data to provide that type of informed customer choice. So that's just a sampling of some of the topics that you'll see us providing more discrete technical assistance to you over the coming weeks, months, and years. And I hope that what you'll do is lean into this partnership with us, become part of the solution. That I know we all agree that all of our programs, we can do more to serve more folks, to make these programs more efficiently, to run rather more efficiently. So I look forward to working with you, not only this week in celebrating Adult Education Family Literacy Week, but making sure that we're celebrating the work that we're doing each day of the year, and to work with you to make sure that our stakeholders, both here in DC, but around the country, understand how vital the effort of serving adults and making sure that those that may not have a secondary equivalency and the skills that they need to be able to reach self-sufficiency, that they're able to do that in a way that meets them where they are, and that we're open up and democratizing new modalities of both training and earning, for example, so that people can participate in work-based learning. They can earn and learn at the same time. And what's great about this work is that we've got people at every political dynamic, every part of the country, that agree that the work that we're doing here is key to reaching our national goals. So thank you for what you do. And just know that if I can ever help you, please call on me. And we are in this work together. And want to thank you for your time again, Sharon. And I'll turn it back over to you and happy to take any questions.
Great, thank you. What was really neat to hear was all of those kind of keywords we talk about so much: apprenticeships, credit for prior learning, integrated education and training, ability to benefit, talking about making sure that our learners have the barriers broke down for them so that it's not like siloed where they're going between these different titles trying to figure out where to go next, but it will be a seamless and integrated process. Having folks at the table for the workforce development boards and chambers of commerce. So we want to thank you for your work there. And we know this is going to be a process as Department of Ed and Department of Labor are working through this. But I found Nick to be a partner, and I know he really does want this to work well. And when he says he's open to taking some questions, we're looking here in the chat box to see if there's any questions now. I also wanted to mention, yes, Dr. Cheryl Ayers, thank you for mentioning the Entrepreneurship Institute. So we're really excited about that. So Dr. Ayers with the Economic Empowerment has an online entrepreneurship institute that we've been engaging with her for years. So very excited about that because you mentioned entrepreneurship and helping people work for themselves. And one of the things that folks often don't realize is that the Kauffman Foundation did a survey and found that the folks that are most likely to start businesses are immigrants and high school non-completers. So kind of a tie in there as well. Okay, so I'm just looking real quick to see if there are questions here. We have, please do not forget the importance of generational learning gains from parents and guardians, building school skills to support children's success that may not be in the labor workforce yet. Great, thank you for that.
Yeah, no, we know that, and that this is a 2-generation work, and we know that just like there are young people who, don't know what they want to be because they haven't seen what there is to be. That's the same thing can be true for adults. We also know that parents are their first and best teacher for adults, and so the more that we can use this 2-pronged career pathway model, not only to talk about training and employment, but also think about some of the non-tangible aspects of this partnership, like creating strong intermediaries and partners that support the 2-generation work that we see. There's a rich body of evidence that supports programs that do focus on both youth and their parents together, that you get a lot of extra result out of that that's sometimes hard to measure, but y'all see it every day, and would love to elevate the examples that you want to bring forward.
Great, thank you. Okay, I see a question. Given the focus on, let's give it on here. Given the focus on English only of this administration, will there be any specific support and investment for English learning in the workplace?
Yeah, I mean, the statutory goals of Title II WIOA, unless those are changed by Congress, will of course continue to have a focus on adult education and literacy activities. I think the primary thing is that we want to make sure that those programs are focused on learners that are in the United States lawfully present. And so that has been, what guidance heretofore has focused on. But certainly providing English courses and civics education courses, that's a foundational element of the statute. So we'll continue to focus on that. Absolutely.
Great, thank you. Okay, we'll take one more question here. Any examples of best practices that come to mind that you've seen or heard from the field?
Oh Lord, there's so many. I don't want to start naming states because I'll offend by leaving out an example. But I mean, I think I'll mention this. The 2-pronged career pathway model that we launched last week is all predicated on best practices, and so we did not pull any of that out of thin air or kind of make up anything on the fly. Everything from the way that we're promoting the blending and braiding of funds, and more limited on the blending, but broader focus on braiding. And then states that have already got a state determined process for ability to benefit, states that have either partnered closely with DOL or have a state apprenticeship agency, and have a focus on working with the intermediaries to scale youth and adult focus on registered apprenticeship. Those are all built from best practices that we have gleaned from states, and that's going to continue to be our focus, is to elevate those best practices from states and to allow for the Department of Education and Labor to be a platform to take best practices from governors, state boards, and grantees, so that we can do what, as teachers, we all, have done for a long time, which is to borrow ideas from each other. And that's certainly the best form of flattery when others are emulating the work that we do. And so want to just serve as one primary resource for helping that level of cross-pollination happen.
Great, and I'm going to put a plug in for the COIB conference. If you want to see best practices, come there. Come join the 4,000 folks from all across the country that will be sharing best practices. Well, I want to thank you, Nick, for taking time today, and I want to thank all the folks that have joined us. But we have a gentleman here that our president-elect that has some words to share, so I'm going to turn it over to him.
Yeah, thank you, Sharon, and thank you very much, Nick, for being here. I really glad to share this opportunity with you, and thank you for kicking off our National Adult Education and Family Literacy Week. But you just remind us that when it's possible to bring policy, partnership, and people aligned together, then we can do a lot. Then thank you for that. Also that adult education is not a silo or just a side program. It is a front line to the workforce in their nation. And thank you for that. I think we all attest to that. But I want to invite all of you to turn today the inspiration into action. Let's visit some classrooms and invite some partners to your programs, bring a new employer to the table, because that is very important for your communities. Adult education is not only one word, but it is really action that transform lives and strengthen businesses and grow local communities. I'm gonna talk to you, the educators and staff. Thank you for keeping your doors open in your local communities. To our learners, your persistence and purpose in what you're doing and what you're gonna become after you complete your adult education adventure is gonna be great. And to our partners and policymakers, thank you for investing in the work that we do, because we have our heart in our work. Let's make this Adult Education Family Literacy Week our strongest yet. And let's measure by enrollment, by credentials, by integrated educational training, pathways, and stories of courage. Let's make it happen. And I just wanted to thank you, Nick, again. Thank you, Sharon. Thank you for the COI community. And thank you, everybody. Let's have a happy Adult Education Family Literacy Week. Let's elevate learners, empower learners, and encourage workforce together. Thank you, everybody.
Great. Thank you so much, Hector. Thank you so much, Nick. We're really excited about this Adult Education and Family Literacy Week. It comes at the perfect time. We know we have now through September 30th to really make an impact with legislators. So I really want to encourage everybody. There are so many ways you can take action. If you go onto the COIB website, you'll see that many different ways that you can work with legislators. And as Hector had said, work with your workforce partners, work with your chambers of commerce. There are many different ways. So I want to encourage you to do that. There's also a social media contest that's underway. I want to encourage you to check that out. And I really want to thank the 133 individuals who made time to come here, many of them on their own dime, to come here and participate in Flood the Hill. Tomorrow, as I mentioned, we'll have the legislative briefing and breakfast, and then talking with legislators in person. We also have a number of states where they're having state legislative days, and they have gubernatorial and mayoral proclamations they'll be celebrating as well. So I really want to thank all of you who've been participating with us and being a wonderful partner for adult education. Now really is our time. So stand up and make your voice heard. Do that many different ways, but I want to encourage you, we're always nonpartisan and bipartisan. We work with every administration, we work with the left and the right and everything in between. Our goal is really that we would move adult education forward and make sure that it has a seat at the table. So I believe Nick's a good partner in that process. He and I have met a number of times. He's always just really wanted to see the field flourish and wanted to make sure that adult education was able to really have a seat at the table, and that those barriers that we've seen, that COABE has really been working to have those removed, that they will be removed, that we'll be able to have a seamless process for our adult learners, that will be able to be fully funded for the field. So keep up the great work, everybody. I hope you have a wonderful Adult Education and Family Literacy Week. We'll see you on social media, and we'll see you on the webinars that are taking place throughout the week. Take care now. Bye.